to another Mr. McNichols Horror Readings. Tonight, I read the story Burning Hunger by Polonium Poisoning. When I was a kid, my father firmly believed that under the age of 18, one only needed to be fed once or twice a week, and more than that was a luxury that I didn't deserve. He had spent years deployed. My mother and I only found out his true nature when it was too late. Our life was so good when he was perpetually away, working for the Marine Corps. His poor attitude got him fired when I was 8, and from then on my life was hell. Turning to alcohol and having to move away to a poorer neighborhood, my dad could barely keep jobs and was always angry. For the reasons above, he punished me for the slightest misbehavior by making me starve for days at a time. Just like his drunkenness and verbal violence, feeling a constant burning hunger became the normal. My mother, frail like a bird, 65 pounds of faint-heartedness, didn't do much to help me. Afraid to suffer from the same fate or worse, she sometimes sneaked me a carrot or a banana when Dad was working, but he counted the food, and God help us if he thought I ate something when I shouldn't have, even if I hadn't. It almost felt like Dad wanted me to die without having to pull the trigger, and I hated the two of them so much. Although later I learned that the black circles under my mother's eyes meant that she was already doing the best she could for me, aside from grabbing me and disappearing without a trace. We never left, though. By the time I was 10, I was an expert at scavenging the neighbor's trash in the woods nearby for something edible. My rare friendships sometimes offered me snacks at their houses, the best moment of my week. Don't ask me why I never asked their parents to call CPS. I didn't even know about it, and they probably wouldn't want to meddle anyway, afraid of my father. The constant hunger he put me through and the shortage of edible trash made me start eating alternative things. When I was 11, my body had grown so used to bolts and wood that I barely regurgitated them anymore. I would eat anything I could find, the perpetual burning hunger barely leaving the opportunity for anything else to hurt my stomach. Then, when I turned 13, Lady Luck smiled at me. It was a smile with rotten and crooked teeth, but a smile nevertheless. I was able to get a gig as a butcher's apprentice. The butcher was one of our neighbors, a big man with a messy beard and an easy smile named Tom. He wanted a helper that he could pay next to nothing, but he only had 2 daughters and his wife absolutely refused to let her princesses take such a dirty, bloody job. So I happily took it when he offered it to me. What little I made was given directly to my father, helping finance his alcohol abuse. However, working for Tom gave me something that Dad couldn't control: access to leftover scraps of meat. I ate whatever Tom told me to throw in the garbage. At first I was nauseated by the red, raw meat, but it quenched my hunger more nicely than anything I had eaten in the last few years. I started to regain some vitality, which to my father only proved his point that I didn't need to be fed. Still, life was better than it had ever been since he lost his job and come back home. Tom has no idea how much he saved my life. I worked under him for years, despite the pay being semi-slavery. I knew that he couldn't afford to raise my salary, and he treated me well, almost like the son he didn't have. Still, I had never gotten the guts to let him know the hell I went through at home. I wonder if things would have been different if I did. By the time I was 17, I had a whole new life. I could eat normally at home and even had plans to attend college. My dad was gone. My mother had remarried. Her childhood sweetheart had been looking for her and found out she was a widow by the obituary in the newspaper. I mean, she was considered a widow, as my father disappeared without a trace. His drinking problem was getting worse by the day, and he had to be taken to the emergency room after drinking too much at the bar. Something happened, and he simply vanished from the hospital bedroom. No one saw him leaving or being taken. No one saw any suspiciously large objects leaving any room or being placed in the corridors. There was no blood, no signs of struggle. All his medical records were there, but other than that, it was like he was never admitted in the first place. Aside from a doctor and a few nurses, only 2 people entered his room: his scrawny wife and teenage son. The woman entered first, then the boy, me, took his time in there, probably knowing in his heart that he was seeing his old man for the last time, to quote the detective. Let me tell you a secret. Do you know that some tribes believe that cannibalizing their enemies steals the strength from the corpses and gives it to whomever eats them? After all those years of burning hunger that my father put me through, and all the raw meat I got used to eating, I can say for a fact that they're right.
Thank you all for listening. Please check out the author and their other works in the description below. If you like the story, please like and subscribe, and be sure to let the author know. Sleep tight, and I hope to see you again on another Mr. McNichols Horror Readings.